Okay, good evening, everyone. As we proceed in the new Masechta, in Masechta Succa, sponsored by the Fisher family, Lila Nishmas, Basi Bas Rabbi, Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain, and also sponsored L'Refuah Shalema for Eliyahu Moshe ben Chayesar and Lila Nishmas, Rabbi Rachmiel Gershom ben Reb Tzvi Yehuda, and by the Klugman family. We thank everybody for their sponsoring as we learn the third and the fourth Mishnayos in the first parak of Masechta Succa. Peiris oleh sodin mipnei achama. We're going to learn in the next Mishnah that anything that's mekabel tuma is pasul for schach. So a sheet is pasul for schach. In this case, Shelley felt that there's too much sun streaming through his schach, even though it was kosher schach. So he spread over the schach a sheet. So it should be real cool. Of course, that's no good because then the sheet is pasul and it's like having a sukkah in a house. Or remember when we used to have the schach, the pine needles, and the pine needles would get into the soup, right? So in order to catch the pine needles, he spread a sheet under the schach. That's also no good because then the davar shemekabel tuma is blocking you from the schach. Or in this case, the whole sukkah doesn't become pasul, but a person is sleeping in the sukkah, and he likes to have a cozy bed, so he spreads a sheet over a four-poster, like a bed with a canopy on top of it. So that also, if he's sleeping in the bed, he's not under the sukkah because the canopy of the bed separates from him and the schach. He spreads it over a four-poster psula. However, this is an interesting halacha. If the bed is a two-poster, now two-poster is a bed where there's a pole in the middle of the front of the bed going up and a pole in the middle of the back of the bed going up, and you throw a sheet that comes down like a teepee, like an angle, on an angle. So on the top, there isn't a flat space of a tefach. And if there's no flat space of a tefach, it just drapes over the bar that goes from the front post to the back post. It just drapes on it, so there's no flat part of a roof of the canopy of a tefach. And if there's no flat part of a tefach, it doesn't have a din of a roof, and therefore it's not mafsik. And therefore, he could spread it over a two-poster. Now, we know that which is mechubel karka, which is attached to the ground, is pasul for schach. So if Hidla aleh as a geffen, if Dr. Block spread vines over his sukkah, very nice, but they're attached to the ground, that's at last, or gourds attached to the ground, there's a kisam or ivy attached to the ground, v'sikach al gabi, even though he put kosher schach on top of it, psula, because the mechubel karka schach is mafsik and the sukkah is pasul. However, but if the bamboo was more than the vines, it was more than the ivy, and the Rav adds, and he mixed them up so it wasn't nikr, the schach pasul, or he cut the ivy from the ground, he cut the vine from the ground, he cut the gourd from the ground. If he did it after he put it on the roof, then he has to shake it, so it shouldn't be tasa v'loy min ha'asui, then kshera. Zakla. The general principle is what's good for schach, what's not. So the pasuk says, you take the residue of your threshing floor and your wine press. Those are things that have no value, they're psilus. Therefore, they're not mekabel tuma, and they grow from the ground. So, Zakla, the principle is, kol shem mekabel tuma, anything that's a keli, it's mekabel tuma. That's why there was a problem initially. People were worried about the mats, because if it's actually a mat, it's a keli, it wouldn't be good for the sukkah. Right? They make it specially for schach, so it's good. But anything that's a keli, and therefore it's susceptible to tuma, or ve'en gedulei min haaretz, or let's say you have linen, or wool, which doesn't grow, not linen, you have wool that's not that's not a keli, but it doesn't grow from the ground. You can't use a schach. The kol davar she'eino mekabel tumah. It's not a keli. V'gidulei min haaretz, and it grows from the ground. That mesachichin by that is kosher for schach. It's good to see Michal Vego joining us, Sandy Grunfeld. We want to point out that if you would like to sponsor this week's share, Rabbi Yisai, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. I am still in Lakewood. Probably this week I will be in Lakewood and not up in the Catskills. The Wednesday night share will be broadcasted from here in Lakewood, the Chumash share. And remember, tomorrow night and throughout the week, Daf Yomi is at 8:50. Thank you for joining us, and have a truly wonderful day.